로켓 신입 발사 세동
It was 1996, December. I already graduated from university in Japan and decided to go to America to study theater arts. And because I will be in the United States for a long time if I go there until I, get my career going on. So I decided to try to look a lot of Japanese traditional things such as a shrine, temple, and martial arts school is one of it. So I went to Yoshinkan school to nourish my knowledge about Japanese culture, where I happened to, meet instructor there and decide to practice Aikido Yoshinkan. Sensei is originally a course designed for Tokyo Metropolitan Riot Police. And we have nearly, I think, 50 years or nearly 60 years of history. When there's a lot of riots going on in Tokyo, Tokyo Metropolitan Agency asked Kancho Gozo Shioda to establish a special instructor course for the police officers. In this course, police officers live in a dojo for 1 year, practice how to become a very strong Aikidoka as well as an instructor. And after a couple of years, several decades, international students are also eager to establish a course designed for the foreign people. And I also, by chance, enrolled this course after I joined the Yoshinkan school in 3 months. It was just by accident, by the way. And I did this course, and by the end of the year, this course, Chira Sensei have approached me. During that time, he was the chief instructor of Yoshinkan Dojo, and Kancho was Dojo-cho, the headmaster was Kyoichi Inoue Sensei. And I was convinced to become a Uchireshi living students of the Yoshinkan school. In this situation, I would have to study everything from cleaning the dojo, taking care of my sensei, changing dogi, after training, cleansing the body, serving tea, etc. Through this training, I would learn the historical manners of how to become an instructor from, master to master. From Takeda Sokak Sensei to Ueshiba Sensei to Ishiro Kancho to Inoue Sensei. I mainly served Inoue Sensei as Uchireshi, but my technical teacher was Chira Sensei at the time. The Sengenkan Dojo is a dojo, the last dojo of Kancho Gozo Shioda, and Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo was active in this place, but nearly 8 years or 9 years ago, Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo decided to leave to a different place. And this Yoshinkan, this building where the dojos are, were originally built with the friendship of Kancho Gozo Shioda and his schoolmate, Takayama-san, who was the landowner of the area. And this man was not just as a friend of Kancho Gozo Shioda, he is from the very traditional samurai family who located this in area called Ochiai in Shinjuku Ward for 400 years. And he wanted to dedicate himself for the sake of the city, and he wanted to open a cultural center in this area. So thus, he decided to build a building. Incorporate with Shioda Kancho, he built the building with a big dojo. And after Yoshinkan left this place, the son of Takayama-san have approached me, asking me to bring back original chief instructor Kancho Inoue Sensei and Chira Sensei together, me as an organizer. But during that time already, Chira Sensei Inoue Kancho has their own organization, so it was not successfully, and he decided to, made me as a chief instructor to start this dojo. It has been nearly 8 years, but the aim of this dojo is to dedicate Aikido for the world peace, and we're putting a lot of focusing on teaching children for education, and also to build the bridges over international countries. And through Aikido, we would like to develop the spirit of harmony, which is a philosophy of Aikido, throughout the world. During this time, or even before the seminar in the past, I always put a lot of focusing on the kiai. Kiai is a movement together with a strong voice, helps you to integrate your concentration power. And I always found of hearing strong spirit's voice of martial arts with children. So I think, I would like to tell the instructor in Russia to try to put more focusing on kiai. And as for the basic movements and kamae, I'm very surprised and impressed about the level of the Russian students. All the instructor Yoshinkan here are very good at teaching very strong basic. This one of the characteristic feature of Yoshinkan Aikido is the kamae and basic movements, and Russian people are very successfully developing this area, which Kancho Gozo Shioda said very, put a lot of focusing on it. And I'm very impressed about this particular area by Russian instructors, and it was very stimulus for a Japanese instructor like me. I would have to work much harder to develop my school back in Japan. This country from late 1990s, a lot of instructor, sensei and or late Terada sensei and of course Chira sensei have visited, and now Ando sensei, Sonoda sensei, many great instructors are teaching here, and I think all the instructor and school are successfully mastering a lot of good points of the great masters, and I'm very happy about that. And at the same time, I think it is very important for Russian people to understand one of the cultural background, cultural differences between Russia and Japan. Japanese people, basically, it's a small island, so they develop communication skill, telling the truth without speaking. So they understand it, even though they don't speak it, because we're same people for a long time in small island. But that's makes a lot of foreigners difficult to understand what is the rules. We call it's a silent rules, For example, if you're under a master, study the art, this relations never end or never changes. Even though you open a different school, it is very important you would ask a permission and you would go through the proper procedures. Whilst in Russian, but not only Russians, but a lot of international people, foreigners, they're so curious about new things. They want to learn, to develop it. They tend to, how should I put it, jump over the proper protocol from Japanese traditions, and that would upset a lot of Japanese instructors. So I would say it is also for our side very important to let the students understand this culture, but Japanese people tend to not good at explaining these rules. So I would ask from a Russian people's side to come more approach, try to understand what is the cultural background of Japan, so that they would not dispute a lot of Japanese teachers and Japanese instructors, I think. It is very important to pay respect to your original teacher, and if you want to study another new things, you should try more harder to dedicate to your original teacher. Then when the right time has come, you humbly ask your teacher, is it okay for me to, And Japanese culture tend to also be a very not academic, very traditional, ask you a lot of patience. Maybe this is not a very suitable method for modern times, but fortunate or unfortunate, Japan culture still, traditional martial arts or either another cultural activities still preserve these traditions. And I would say, I think it's very important for Russian people to try to understand this traditional cultural background of Japan, so that they will be able to continue to develop this art without much conflict. Sorry for the long comments. I think particularly, I only learned the art of Aikido as a Yoshinkan style, and Kancho Goroshio has put a lot of focusing on the kamae. The kamae is a manifestation of your mind, but it's literally means focus. Put your hands, body, hips, legs into a certain angle, and certain align yourself to create a focus power. And the continuity of this focus power become the basic movements. And by strengthening your very strong focus, you will learn how to connect with your partner, which is a basic principle of Aikido. So for me, is basically Aikido is a cultivating or training your mind and body. It literally means Yoshin, and then through that you will successfully manage to become one with your opponents or with your surroundings, and you can live your life happily. That's for me the idea of Aikido. First of all, attitude. Does this person have a focus, or that this person is really giving himself to the instruction of the teachers? If it's not focused, no respect, then that's not good. And also the level of basics. By instant glance of the kamae, basically you understand more or less the level of the students. So I put a lot of focusing on the level of the basics. You see, Aikido is a kata form. So if people wants to do only a form, you can do it. But you see, great masters such as Kancho Sensei, Ino Sensei, they still do the basic movements, basic techniques. What's the difference between them and beginners? Is something inside the movements. So for me, it is very important, the length of training and the seriousness of the training, and attitude, focus, and of course the instruction from the teachers also. Aikido, as a lot of people knows, there is no competition. Basically, it's a repetition manners practice of form. But as for myself, to teach the youngsters, or I think it's all the people in their nature have, nature to inspired by the competing with each other, rivalry feeling between each other. So when it comes to demonstrate the form and you compete, you let the judges judge the level and choose who's the best. I think it's quite a good idea. I apply myself this idea to children's Aikido, and the children become more serious than ever. And I think adult basically is the same, But I think there is a point where you have to be very careful about the competition. People tend to, or very simple children tend to judges that, the children is superior as a creature or the human beings than others when they become a winner. So I have to, in Japan, I put a lot of care about this one. So if the winner wins, they just don't go, but they just bow to everyone, And all the people who lose, they tend to applause, Yes. So respect for each other. Winner also respect. And besides that, if you don't have a partner or competitor, you cannot do competition, and you cannot see the level. Competition is there to understand your true level, and it would not happen without a partner, without a competitor. So it is very important to understand this and pay your respect to those who lose it, and also pay respect, praise for those who win. And they always can be the goal, you know, a prototype for the next level. I think it's very good if you do it good. Basically, I visit here, you know, every year. But this time, for the first time, the chief instructor of Yoshinkan group in St. Petersburg, Igor Rogov sensei, has invited me and my boss Takayama sensei to Kamchatka to see the natural beauty of Far East Russia, and we're very excited about that, you know.
ありがとうございました。One, two, three. ありがとうございました。Ready? ありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Это значит спасибо большое.
ありがとう。Ready?
ありがとうございました。